I got to see two college buddies today. I got to eat pizza, and I've got some of my favorite people I've ever met in indie comics on the panel. It is a good day already. And unlike last week, when Will decided not to even show up for Explain Yourself, I see
I'm
Will
a prima
already.
donna. What can I say? I'm a prima donna, man.
You're definitely good at the schedule because you showed up at the scheduled time this week and last week, you know. No, so last week I forgot to tell Will that we were doing the show like 1 hour early, and at like 10:45 he popped in and he was like, "Did you already do the show?" So oopsie daisy, but this week he checked in. He's here at the right time, and so are some of our friends. Guys, you know the rules. This is one of those situations where Will and I are just going to sit back. We're going to do the 30-second pitch. I don't have to tell you what it is. Ryan, go.
Hi, I'm Ryan Crobath. I'm the artist on Sunmaker. It's a post-apocalyptic fantasy about a man who has to decide if preserving his legacy is worth becoming a monster.
Darn right. Alan, bam.
Hi, I'm Alan. I can barely write stuff, and I have a book called Grandma Chainsaw, and it does what it says on the label. I'm done.
Anthony.
Oh my God, I knew it was coming. It's called Decay. It's a supernatural revenge thriller. It's about a guy that gets killed wrong place, wrong time. His sister brings it back with voodoo, and then once he goes on a murderous rampage, he might regret that decision.
Nice. And Matta, bring us home.
I am Mata Sorcier. I am the artist and writer behind Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death in no particular order. And it is the story of a girl who died, but then she got better. The catch is that she has no memory, magical powers, and demon wings that she has to hide from society.
That is awesome. I got to say that the actual text chain between Will and I was normal time tonight. And then I basically said yes. And he went, holy shit, awesome lineup tonight. So honestly, what's really cool about this is Will and I, kind of started the show on an accident, and now we've got people that we're excited to talk about again, excited to see what the next issue is in the comic, what the next series they're doing, and it kind of really is cool to see you four with us. And I really want to thank you, not for joining us tonight, but for joining us over and over again, because it's neat to be part of your journey and for you to be part of ours. So I'm going to start out that way.
Well, do you feel like proud dads watching your kids grow up?
I'm getting
old. I'm getting old, Matta.
I mean, so am I, but let's not go there.
Explain why Will's always yelling at me.
We'd rather be called cool uncles.
Where are my colors, Ryan? I need to go to print, Ryan.
I would prefer to be called a cool uncle than a dad, but I think I'm probably more lame dad than cool uncle, so I will take it.
Oh, you could also be a lame uncle, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what kind of life you live.
The lame part's probably the more likely. But it is after 11, and I think most of us are tilted toward the East Coast. So let's get into these projects. Anthony, you know what? It's Good Friday. Jesus died on Friday. He was resurrected on Sunday. Let's talk about a book about resurrection, and maybe the story doesn't have as happy of an ending as Easter, but let's get into Decay. I'll pull it up while you remind us. 5 issues. You're putting out 4th and 5th, but people can catch up on everything if it's the first time, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's really, I feel like a reasonably priced catch up. It's like $18 for 5 issues.
What?
That's very reasonable. That's not a little reasonable. That's great.
I'm saying, yeah, I think so too.
So I'll pull up the thing and let's talk about the team, because you're closing out the first volume of Decay. I know that there's a hint of a not a sequel but a spinoff coming that way. So before we get out of here, we've got to talk a little bit more about that. But how did you get the team together on Decay, and tell us more about the project for somebody who might have missed it?
Absolutely. So I met Marcel, the illustrator, colorist, through r/Comic Book Collabs, And so he did like a couple small things for me, and I got with him, and then we've been rocking out ever since, like the last 2 years. And I think SK was sent, Steven was sent from God. I think he is incredible. He's like a mentor. He he puts everything together. Like it's almost stunning my growth because I have no idea how to do graphic design, because he does so much for me. So shout out to Steven.
No, I know him through Facebook and some of the groups that he runs, and he's always been just a really solid person. Although I haven't interacted with him on a one-to-one level, I really love the way he works within the indie comic community.
You three are like the nicest guys ever. You got to get him on the show. That's at some point.
He's in Australia, right?
Yeah, him
It
and
works.
Sean Keenan, I think, is his last name. They do comics to movies, I believe. Is what's called.
We can do it. We found that New Zealand and Australia is easy. That's their afternoon. It's the Europeans that we can't get on because we're hitting them somewhere between like 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. So we can do Australians. Anytime Steven wants on, you tell him to give us an email and we'll do it.
Absolutely, yeah. My boy Anas, who has Etheris, which is popping off, looking really good. Like it'd be funny because we would have a Twitter space and then he would go to bed and then would wake up and we'd still be doing a Twitter space. That one, it was insane. I was like, okay, I might need to take a social media break because this is crazy.
Nice.
So you said it was $18 for the catch-up, which is extraordinarily good price. With prices going up, I mean, there's some books that are over $18 for a single issue on Kickstarter. So to get a complete 5-issue series for $18 is absolutely a good deal. Do you have any artwork as tiers that are available in this one? I don't know if your artist works physically or digitally.
Oh no, they're digital. I wish I had. I do have an original page. If you keep scrolling through, you'll see it. It's the series is heavily inspired by Kendrick Lamar. There's coming, who's my favorite rapper, my favorite like creator right now. And so we did a homage cover with Artistic Schmidt, and then so I have the original page available on the campaign. So super cool, nice. one of a kind. There you go.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Oh, nice. Well, no, you had if you go back up a little, Kevin, that is it DNS? Did I read that right?
Yeah,
that
DNS.
Cover. That is a really nice cover right there. That's very eye-catching. I really like that one.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God, it was a Frank Miller Daredevil, colored cover that had the stained glass, and I was like, man, I need something like this. Like this is like perfect. This is So yeah, he knocked it out the park. And you kind of get the first act of the franchise in the glass, which is cool.
Yeah, and I mean he did your last one. Not immersive thoughts. Intrusive
thoughts. Come
intrusive
on.
Thoughts.
You know what I said.
I got there. So that's awesome that you can kind of play with getting him on the other series too, and he's just fabulous. So of course you're going to do it. So how does it feel to be wrapping up your first comic series? Like, do you feel relief? Do you feel ecstatic? Do you feel like I'm kind of sad to be letting this go?
Yeah, no, it's a combination, right? Because it's like on one hand, it's like, all right, like one less thing I have to pay for, right? Like one more, because I'm doing so many series, and I kind of like I'm curious about like the rest of the panel. Like, do you guys do like a single series or is it multiple series? I'm doing multiple series, and that's why I have bags under my eyes. So like in one way, it's like, okay, that's squared away, that's cool. And then as you alluded to, there's going to be some spinoffs and stuff. So it's like the series, it's just going to evolve from here. So it's really, it's not a lot of sad. It's mostly just relief, like you said, right, and being ecstatic.
I think Will and I have both said that if we knew then what we know now, we would be finishing our series at issue 4 or 5 and then restarting it, a year or two later. Yeah. So I think you're doing it the smart way. or you can be like Mata and just have like a 83,000 page opus in your brain for 30 years and just draw it to your heart's content.
Yeah, no, thank you. I like the short series. Thank you. Like 5,
You know,
6
even I'm
minutes.
saying no thank you, and I'm the one doing it. So, like, why did I do this? But anyway, it's not about me right now.
No. I mean, I'm just curious. I'm curious about how many series other people have. You know, because it's interesting to talk about the process. This was a 5-issue series, got done in 2 years. Like perfect, chef's kiss. Like
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I know, Alan, you've got Grandma Chainsaw plus Pocus Hocus that you guys are working on.
Unfortunately, we have a third one that we're working on too. So it all sucks. Everything sucks.
oh man. Oh man.
And Ryan, I know you're finishing up Sunmaker on this time around with issue 3, but you're a colorist for a book that's very near and dear to my heart, so.
And what book is that?
That would be Crossover Division, of course.
Oh, I think I've heard of that.
Have you heard of it, Ryan?
I think I've heard of it.
But yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Anthony, because for me, and I think I can maybe speak for Kevin a little bit. We're focused on one series, and we will be for the next god awful amount of time it takes to finish, however long we're going to do these. But I mean, that is interesting. That, I mean, I find it pretty amazing that you are able to work on multiple series, just knowing how hard it is to get a single issue done of anything, right? And you're working on multiple series, so
5 different series. 5 different series right now. No, wow. I don't. Yeah, I regret it. But we're powering through. I guess I'm scared of commitment. I don't know. Like I just want. I don't know. Yeah. No, it's cool because I feel as if really the reason why I did this is because when I'm at a con table, right, every cover is a pitch, and then to a further extent, every series is a pitch. So I didn't want to just sit there. If you have kids or something, you don't want them to like read Decay. You don't want them to read Truths and Thoughts. So it's also about just giving myself the best shot to sell to people, and also I wanted to have a back. I know you guys, when you back Pat Shan's, I'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna get one thing, and you end up with it's like grocery shopping. You end up with like 10 things in your cart when you check out. So it's like having that back catalog, which is when I didn't choose the thoughts. It was people were buying Decay 1 through 3. I was like, this is amazing. This is incredible. Like it's an amazing feeling. So that's all. I'm also chasing that as well.
No, that's great. I feel like I have the focus and organizational skills to spearhead one thing.
Just one.
I think that if I had Ryan as my artist who's going to run the Kickstarter, I think I could have 4 to 5 series, where I just, wrote a script every 2 or 3 weeks and sent it off, and then eventually there was a Kickstarter, and that Kickstarter was delivered.
And a book just shows up at your house. You're like, this is amazing.
I think if I found myself a Ryan, I think I could do more series. But there's only Mata just does her own stuff, so like you can't find a Mata. And Ryan's, he's got his one series, and then he's just like coloring Crossover Division, which is going to be super great for me when there's a Crossover Division tart book for him to color. But until then, gives me nothing. So yeah, I think one series I have the mental ability to organize and run. But yeah, if anybody wants to take over organizing and running my stuff, I'll try to write some more series. But until then, I'm a one comic man.
Tart's doing really good, man.
Yeah. So Alan, does it really suck as bad as you say that it does, or are you maybe exaggerating a little bit?
Yes and no, right? Because I think I'm a slave to the endorphin rush. So it's one of those things where it's awesome to be able to. Whenever we started this whole thing, I started with Pocus Hocus, and I was like, okay, this is it, and then it took off unexpectedly. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, we'll go and start another series, but we'll wait till POCUS is done. And we're like, well, hell, it looks like POCUS isn't going to have an insight. So then it's like, let's go and do this one. All right, let's do another one. It's awesome to really be able to tap into that creative outlet and to do all this great stuff and meet all these amazing people and really get to see your artwork come to life. Like Anthony was talking about, like you get to have different covers and all this stuff. It's wild to see. And then you look at your credit card statement and you're like, oh my God, why have I done this to myself? So
yeah, we've all had that moment.
Yeah.
I think we've all had that moment, and you just, yeah, I feel like as long as I can keep my nose above water, I'm swimming.
Right.
And until you've drowned, you're swimming. So that's what I've tried to do with it. Is there? I don't know the answer to this question, and if the answer is no, that's fine. Is there a way to hint about the what's coming out of Decay without ruining how Decay ends?
Oh man, I can't. Well, it's gonna be a lot of different things. Like, and also I like the premise of just like bringing somebody back to life and with an object, right? Like a plot device. So that's cool. So there's gonna be a Western. You're gonna get a lot of exclusives today because I like you guys. It's a Western, which is like not even connected at all. It's almost like a Fargo sort of thing. And then it's gonna be more of a spin-off with like some story elements. And I'm really excited because it's gonna be about like I'm not sure I want to. It's almost like more content, but it's gonna be like just really grimy, just taking the griminess from this first series and just turning to a level. Like what I'm going for is you ever grabbed like an ashtray and it's like wet, like that's the like just like ugh, like just yuck. That's what I'm going for. And a bunch of shorts. Like my friend Chris had a great idea of like, so like what doesn't kill you on the cost for comic book isn't like the pages, it's more so the number of issues. So he's like, you can just throw in like 10 more issues or something and then raise the price up more. And relatively, it's a pretty good value. So I'm working on shorts now. So no, this is going to be like, I think my flagship kind of like series, which is, super exciting to have one of those.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. So Intrusive Thoughts, you've got issue 1 out. Issue 2, is it in production?
No.
Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
I need a break. No.
Okay, that's fair.
Too many balls in the air right now.
I think that's something that we should take a moment to talk about, and that I think that in the direct market we have to be sharks. If you aren't moving forward, you're dying.
Yeah.
I don't get that feeling from indie comic supporters either at comic conventions or Kickstarter. I think they're super excited, especially Kickstarter, and they're super excited when you're ready. I don't think they penalize us for taking a break and getting it right. Whereas in the direct market, if the issue isn't coming out the next month, they'll shoot you. You're not just dead to them; they will murder you. So I think it's super smart for you to look at yourself, look at the project, and be like, okay, great. We had a great campaign. We've got a great first issue, and we're gonna wait until we're ready to go on too. So there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Well,
yeah, I mean, it's really smart because it keeps you from getting burnt out a little bit. I know, and Matta, we can talk to you about this in a second too, because I know you were having some struggles recently, according to your newsletter, around
a lot.
Production. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a huge amount of work to not only write it, get it drawn, project manage, and then do the Kickstarter, so that after a while, it can feel like just a grind. So I mean, yeah, kudos to you for just saying, "Whoa, we got to take a break." That's really smart. I wish I was that smart.
What Alan say, the endorphins? I think.
The endorphin rush is wild, man.
Yeah, like when you get a new pledge and it's like, oh man, like just it hits and then like it's so fleeting. It's
Yeah, and then you check in it like an hour later and you're like, oh, no new pledges, everyone hates me, I'm terrible. And you just kind of ride that roller coaster.
Don't you lose a pledge. It's like, yeah, like I like
Oh,
even
yeah.
numbers, and then you like odd numbers. We get the even number. It's a whole
Yeah.
dance.
My favorite thing is whenever you make a project update and you're so excited about it, and you get to show off, like, maybe a cover that took a little longer, or maybe you finally get to show hell, I don't know, a new page just because you're so excited, and you post the update, and then you log on and you've lost a backer as soon as you posted the update.
Yeah.
because you reminded them that they backed your campaign, so then they had to take it away.
I know.
I love it.
Yeah,
Sorry to cut you.
I know multiple creators who do not update their campaign in the last like 2 to 3 days.
That's
They just-
smart.
I get that, but then I also want people there that want to be there, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
There's no-
Matta,
there's
I
no
cut
other
you
answer.
off.
Oh, I was gonna say also, like, when you hit that milestone or like stretch goal or whatever, and you post about it, and like by the time you finish hitting, like, send the post, all of a sudden you're like under the goal, like someone just like, they just backed out at like $100, and you're just like, well, shit, I feel like a fool now.
Yeah.
Y'all
Dude,
be
I
getting stretch
wait like the
goals?
next day. Like I hit the milestone and I wait the next day to do the update to make sure I feel safe enough.
There's just a little bit of the last campaign I had early bird pricing on the hardcovers, and for like the two of them it was like a $10 savings for the early bird people who were getting both. And so what happened kind of the third week of the campaign was I would get a new backer for $80 and I would get a cancellation of $70. And then I'd get a new backer of $80 and then a cancellation of $70. And it was always $10 more, but it was like, I really wish we were moving faster. Because I go, bloop, 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 bloop.
It's like someone giving you a lollipop that was like dropped on the floor, and you're like I like lollipops, but also this doesn't feel right.
But if you just put about 15 to 20 seconds of effort in, that's just a new lollipop.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yo,
You're not
Words
wrong.
of wisdom. Words of wisdom from Kevin Joseph.
That's going to be on a t-shirt.
Yeah,
Thoughts,
absolutely.
deep thoughts.
Well, Matta, let's go into Sacrimony, and let's talk a little bit about it. We always stay on the positive side, but we try not to be so positive that we pretend that there aren't issues in all of this. So how did you confront those feelings as I pull up your page?
Oh man. It was like I started hating the process because I do the writing, I do the art, I do all the marketing. I'm also doing 2 comics now because I also have Buddy and Friend, which I need to ship out to you guys. And it was just like, yeah, that's going out next week. But yeah, it was just a lot of work. But also at the same time, I found myself taking a lot of like, shortcuts to do digital art quicker. And it's like, it looked nice, but it was just like I started feeling really disconnected from the process.
Mm.
Like I felt more like a machine than an artist. And I had like at least a month where I was like trying to drag myself to the drawing tablet, and like my brain was just kicking and screaming like, no, I don't want to do this. I hate this. And I'm like, do I hate making comics forever now? Like, is this my life? Do I have to like find another job or something? So yeah, as a last resort, I tried coloring the cover art, which you just scrolled past. I colored it traditionally with like markers and paints and stuff. And I was like, I love art again.
Mhm.
So it was really just that I needed to change what I was doing and how I was doing it. And also, if you hear meows, that's Pumpkin. He's very loud and belligerent because he wants food. But yeah, so I just had to like change what I was doing to like what I was doing again.
Just that tactile sense of almost touching the art is what brought you back into
Yes,
it.
like I can hold like, 5 markers in my hand and like 1 in my mouth, and then like just juggle the colors around or whatever. And it felt so much more satisfying than like, all right, I click on this, I drag this here, click on that, drag that there, and just like, yeah, feeling the marker on the page, even feeling the pencil on the page, because I showed off in your server that I did the the original sketch in pencil instead of doing it digitally because like digital just wasn't clicking with me. So yeah, just even feeling the pencil just kind of like have that bit of drag on the paper. It was like the most magical feeling that I didn't let myself feel in a very long time. Because I was just like, digital, it has to be quick, has to be quick. And it was just like, no, maybe I should slow down a little
I'm
and
gonna
actually enjoy what I'm doing.
got to the page with your testimonies, and I'm going to read one because it's by the smartest person who has ever existed.
Yeah, someone with very deep thoughts.
I love this baby, Sacramone. I love your comic book baby. I want to like put it in a little swing and like rock it, and I want to like put his little bottle in a microwave, and I want to like squirt it on my wrist and make sure it's not too hot, and I want to feel like a little. Oh, that's comic. My eyes thought it got a little excited. Your little comic baby, and I want to be like, I'm your Uncle Blake, and that's what your comic book makes me feel by Blake's Buzz. Yes, I know you thought I was going to read hours, but no.
I had a feeling. I had a feeling you're going to throw me a curveball. But no, I almost cried on Blake's show because he was just like, he was talking about the writing, and people don't usually talk about the writing a lot because everyone, like, the first thing they see is like the art. And the moment he said, like, I feel stupid for not have read this, my grammar sucks right now. But you know, he's like, I feel stupid for not have like read this book sooner. And I was like, this is what I keep telling people. Like, it's a good story. Just like give it a chance, read it, and you will love it.
I thought you were saying you kept telling people they were stupid because they hadn't read it yet. Because we're gonna work on that bedside manner just a little bit. Although I do understand.
Never apologize for who you are.
Damn right.
Just say what you want.
No, but I mean, it's really just like, you know, people see it and they see like, oh well, it's a fantasy story. Oh, there's like brown characters. Now I'm scared. I'm just like, no, it's fine. Everything is okay, guys. I promise you.
I'm as white can be. It's not scary, guys. It's fine.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people when they see like characters of color, they're like, "Oh my god, is this gonna like make me feel bad for being white or something?" And like, I promise you, Sacramone does not do that. Like, there's no weird like overarching preachy messages or anything. You just get a bunch of characters who just don't know what the hell is going on, and that is relatable.
Yes, that is. So we're doing the trade paperback here, and that's collecting 1 through 5, correct?
Yes. Plus, there's some extra stuff.
Can people get the original floppies?
Yes, they can, because I still have some left over before they're completely sold out. So, I mean, the artwork on the covers are like gorgeous. They're like, you know, super hot collector's items. I'm not biased or anything, but you know, it's like they're very pretty to look at. It's definitely worth getting because I'm not like, I didn't jack up the prices or anything on the floppies either. I'm just like, I just want them out of my house at this point. They take up so much room. I have like no space.
No, that's great.
So you've done a lot of variant covers, kind of a tarot and themed variants for like all of the issues, right?
Yeah, those are actually the standard ones, are the tarot inspired ones. So I did also turn those into actual like black metal tarot cards that are available for this campaign, and they're gonna look really cool. And yeah, it's just good stuff, good collectible stuff.
Cool.
That's awesome.
And I know.
I was just gonna say, I heard an incredible win today. I don't believe can say anymore that the cover image is available on this Kickstarter. I heard it was snatched up.
Just the pencils, but the original marker colored version, because I don't color over my original like pencils or inks or anything. Like, I make copies and then I do the colors because I'm afraid that like if a marker like explodes over an original, I'm kind of screwed. And like markers are prone to exploding, believe it or not. They explode a lot more than people think. So I'm like, so I have the pencils separate, and I already sold the original pencils, but the colors are up for grabs, and they are very lovely.
Very cool.
I was trying to like scramble to find them before the this show began, but then my camera crapped out on me, and I was like, oh well, I guess I got to fix that.
Yes, you can't show the artwork if you can't show anything. So I think that was a good choice.
Nice. Well, I know we keep asking you this every time, but you know, for anybody that's new, we were joking about 83,000 pages, but maybe not quite that many. But you have a long-term story in mind for this, right?
Yeah, I always joke that like reading Sacrimony is like adopting like a pet parrot where you don't know what you're getting into and you're stuck with it for like the next 80 years. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a long story. I actually, when I started thinking about it, I thought it would be a shorter story, but it's just taking me like, a long time to get to where I need to go, but not in a bad way because I'm learning so many things about like, all right, well, like, what do I need to do for the characters? What needs to happen? And I don't want to like rush things because it is a very character centric story. So it's like, if you cut out all of the little character nuances and stuff, like, I don't know, I got nothing after that. So yeah, I mean, it's probably, geez, it's gonna be like somewhere between 50 to 70 issues, I guess. And then I have Buddy and Friend, which is gonna be like 20 issues, which I'm like, yes, a short series.
How often are you releasing these issues? Just out of
Every
curiosity.
3 months, I wanted to try and do like 5 campaigns this year, but I don't think I have it in me with like the burnout that I went through last month. So I'm just gonna, just every 3 months.
Okay, cool. No, that's
So yeah.
impressive.
Oh, thank
So
you.
Well, yeah.
I was like, like thought about doing it like, like once every 3 months. And then my thought process was like 20 to 30 days for like the actual campaigning, and then like a month of like fulfillment, and then like a month off. Was that like, what was your schedule like, or like for 3? Like if you were doing
My strategy is literally everything everywhere all at once. Just like, whatever needs doing, I do it. But also I cut my campaign shorter because I don't have the energy to keep going like rah rah rah, look at my comic for like 30 days straight or even 24. So this campaign, it has 17 days left. I launched it yesterday because I seem to like doing 18-day campaigns. It's very manageable. I love that by the time the weekend is over, I'm like, yes, 2 more weeks left. I can do this, as opposed to like, doing a 25-day campaign. And then I'm just like, the next day it's like, oh, I have 24 days left. How am I going to survive this?
Yeah, I say this with a little bit of jealousy and a lot of love. The only person I know that can make a 30-day campaign like build the entire 30 days is Charlie Stickney. Like
what about Pat?
I think Pat is extraordinary, but I don't think that he grows straight in that longitudinal line like Charlie. I think he has an extraordinarily smart business plan, and this is better to start strong and taper and then build. But Charlie, if you watch Charlie's, he starts like gangbusters, and then he just goes up like an asshole, like a complete and total asshole.
It's really emasculating to see those campaign numbers. I agree.
That's also going on a t-shirt.
I honestly know. I get super inspired when I see Pat and Charlie's campaigns that you can do this, and it's just like, okay, so that's if you put it together and you deliver a great story with great art and you deliver the book on time and you stay with it, all of us can get there.
I gotta say, I'm like super duper grateful that like every single issue I've done, I've always had more backers and like more and more backers. Like Sacrimony 1 started out with like 98, and Sacrimony 5 closed out with like 192. And I'm like, oh, I hope that 6 can, get over the 200 line. But I'm like, I must be doing something right because people do keep coming back. And I'm like, I'm always grateful that people come back and like stick around to see what's gonna happen next.
Oh yeah, the return backers, when the name comes in and you realize they've been with you for years, it is
like I had. Go ahead.
Well, you talked about like the dopamine rush. That's like a different rush. It's like that's like love instead of lust. Like lust is lust comes quick and goes away.
I get it.
Yo, the metaphors are crazy tonight.
Yeah, you are on, man.
Seriously.
What's interesting is that there's always, because in a lot of Facebook groups is like, do you prefer the money? Would you prefer like, I guess, more backers with less money or more money with less backers, like comparatively. And I'm always like, give me the money, like, because I need it. These comics are expensive. But like for me right now, it's like when I see a familiar backer, it's almost a little bittersweet because I'm like, God, it's like I didn't get a new person. Shit. Like, it's like that. There's no right answer.
I read it very differently because the person that's coming back already knows what you've delivered. The person coming back actually likes your work.
Yeah,
the new person might. Yeah. The new.
Yeah.
I always say my favorite backer is my returning backer, but my favorite backer is my brand new backer. So I respect that there's both, but it's that person that is just like with you, that ride or die backer is like something special.
Especially if you've never met them, like you don't know who they are, like they're not a personal friend. Nah, that is crazy. It just goes back to like crowdfunding not being any right answers. I was thinking about like what's the right ratio of new to returning, right? Because if you're getting a bunch of new backers, like that's good, but that also means like did you do like what's going on? Where's the old people at? But if it's like entirely like old backers, it's like I can't attract new people. Like it's the dichotomy is just it's sickening. I hate crowdfunding.
You know what's like the extra icing on the cake is when you get returning backers that aren't in the US. Like not only have you stuck around, but you're paying that bullshit ridiculous shipping fee just to get my book, and like it melts the void where my heart should be.
It's all of the, you can find the negative in all this so much easier than the positive. You almost have to try harder. And I think you're absolutely right. If you're sitting at 200 backers and it's always the same 200 backers, 200 backers are going to get your comic made. That's great. Yeah. But you do want to keep finding new people with all of this. But I'll always say, if I'm going to get 10 backers and 8 are returning, that means I've done something great. And I just am not a great marketer. And I kind of know that about myself. I'm an okay marketer. But I also know I'm delivering a good comic book on time. So I'm the thing that I can actually control is the quality of the comic and whether or not it gets to people. I can't really control whether or not the Facebook algorithm is cutting off links this week to get to new people or
Twitter.
yeah. It's the new Wild West of do you buy Twitter Blue for a month so that you get the outreach, or do you look like an asshole because you have the blue check mark?
Never.
The deciding factor for me, honestly, because like I keep getting these, it's like the 2-factor authentication. It's like, all right, man, like that might be the justification because like I can't lose my Twitter, like like that might tip me over. But I've been noticing. I feel like my posts are getting throttled down crazy. I don't know if y'all are experiencing this too, but like, I might fold.
It may be. I don't know. But this is. I'll give Tyler James this. He was ahead of this 8 years ago. Will and Ryan when we met 5 years ago something. He came to all of us and said, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. I'd love for you to join." Well, and it's about building an email list because Twitter's great for now. Facebook is great for now. But guess what? So with MySpace and he named other things I hadn't even heard of, they were great then. And so building that thing that you own so that if a guy bought a $10 billion company that was probably overpriced for $44 billion and then just started doing crazy make-em-ups with it, you have a way to reach the people who like your books.
And that's actually a really good question because I know Anthony, you're on Twitter. Meta, I think you're more on Instagram. Are you on Twitter too?
I kind of noped out of Twitter. Like I check on it every week and I see something upsetting and I leave. So I mostly just do the mailing list every week, and I always I feel so happy when people respond. It's like, oh, thank you. It's like the dopamine rush when you see somebody responded to your email, and I'm like, people still do that. That's great. I love it.
And Ryan, I know you're on Twitter because I tag you every time I post about something. How about you, Alan?
All my red notifications on that, I think.
Oh, okay.
I've been logged into Twitter for like 3 or 4 years.
You're not missing anything.
When I changed the cell phone and my Twitter password was saved on the phone, so when I got the new phone, it didn't have the password, and I can't remember what it is. For a while, I was able to get Instagram from one of my laptops, but when I updated my laptop, I didn't have the password on it.
I have sort of the same problem with Facebook, and I've literally sent them a scan of my driver's license to say, hey, you're using an old email that's no good anymore. And they just sent me back and they're like, yeah, your driver's license doesn't prove who you are. So at some point, I will not be able to get into Facebook.
So what social media do you use, Ryan? Or are you going email list only?
I use Facebook mostly. I post a little bit to Instagram here and there, but like I find my email list is like my primary means of communication.
Gotcha. Cool. How about you, Alan?
Yeah, Twitter and email list. That seems like that kind of does it the best right now. Anyway, I could be totally wrong.
I definitely found my most enjoyment on social media on old Twitter. It was, I joked I had comics, I had politics, and I had Florida State sports. That's all I needed, and so I'm really upset with what has happened to my favorite social media, and it's probably going to go kaput soon. But I'm sticking with it. I'm going down with the rats. You know what I mean? I'm just going to try not to pay. I don't know. If I launch next Tuesday, if you see a blue check mark by my name on Wednesday, it's because no one saw my campaign, and I'll have
you
a
did
blue
what you
mark
had to
for
do. I get
1 month,
yeah,
and then I'll nope out of that. But so Ryan, we started talking about Sunmaker. Why don't we get into your campaign? Let's see. We had someone on here. Caleb Holmquist said earlier. First of all, Grandma Chainsaw is the GOAT, and then added up, Sunmaker is pretty good too. So
I love the winky face at the end.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the third issue of Sunmaker, Ryan. This is the book that you illustrate and color, and you're done, man. You how does it feel to? I asked Anthony, how does it feel to finish off your opus?
So it's pretty crazy. It's been quite a learning curve. Like going back and like looking what everything was when I started. Like when I first made the cover for Sunmaker 1, the reason why they're acrylic paintings is because I didn't know how to digitally color. And when you needed to submit a book to Comixology, you had to have a cover. So I was like, well, I don't know how to color on the computer, but I know how to paint. I just grabbed some paint brushes and went to town. So like, and now like that I'm done, it's crazy that most people actually come to me for like digital coloring. I was gonna hire out the third issue, and I got yelled at. Yeah. Everybody's like, nope, you have to color your book. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of your thing now, I guess.
Yeah.
It's crazy because like when I first took the digital coloring course from Comics Experience, I never even used Photoshop before that. So like when I was flatting pages, it was like 13 hours to like flat a page because I didn't know how to.
Oh, did you just do the little scribble thing?
No, he taught us to do it all with the lasso, but I didn't know how to like subtract and add from the lasso. So every time I messed up one thing, I had to start the whole. Like it was terrible. Like now flatting is not a big deal, but like I hated coloring in the beginning. Like
okay. So let's slow down for 1 second. What is scribble, 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 and what is lasso, 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 lasso?
Okay, so scribble, scribble, scribble is exactly like it sounds. Like you have the lines and you're just there with the pen scribbling in with like a very small brush to fill in all of the space, which is what I did when I started up because I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
And when you're flatting, you're just picking the part that you're going to color later, correct?
Sort of. So it's like if you take it's more turning it into like puzzle pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can go in and select the puzzle pieces individually and edit them later.
Oh.
So like if I colored something incorrectly, and
So his fist.
Yeah, so that way you can go back and you can make adjustments really easy. Because if you don't, then you're basically like there's you can really get screwed.
So the blue wire that I'm looking at on his fist, would that all be one puzzle piece, or would it be up until where we see kind of the light smear on it that's closest to his face? Is that a different puzzle piece in the flatting?
It's all one thing. So there's different ways to do it, and what I do is like I will try to keep like the characters, like each individual piece of their costume will be flatted in one color. And depending on what the page is, like I can look at it and be like, okay, it's going to go a little bit faster if I separate out this piece of armor from the other pieces of armor. So that way, like I can select them later. I learned something from, God, now I'm going to space on his name.
We all learned something from God, Ryan. You're not special.
Yeah.
I didn't.
from the Kurt like he goes back and he actually has like all of his base flats on another layer. So I started doing that, and that's like made my work a lot easier to go back and do corrections on. So like I'll have a flat layer, which is it could be like whatever color, and then I'll have another layer like that's going to be underneath it, but it will be like basically the color selections of the page. So like it almost looks like it's a finished, like just like that, and then I render all my stuff on one layer.
Okay.
Cool.
So we usually try to make this not incredibly visual because we have a podcast version. Guys, check out the YouTube page to look at this while he's talking about the flatting, because that was interesting. The YouTube page is Bino KJ. Sorry, I've got a weird name.
Yeah, and you know, just as someone who, you know, typies on stuff, it's always kind of cool to know how the other parts are done, because to me it's magic, right? I mean, that's words, finished comic, magic.
Without an email, get a picture back.
When Carl Moline first showed me his flats, everything were these very, very like bright, like oranges and teals, and I was like, man, someday I should just do like a special edition called Pop Tart and just literally do his flats, you know, as their own, as the final page, just because it was so cool. So that's John Eddingfield's painting, isn't it?
That's hanging up in John's house. Yeah. He keeps telling me that he has like the spot on the wall, like, and he literally does. Like he has issue 1 cover, issue 2 cover, and then there's this big blank spot on his wall, and it's been there for 3 years now. So every time I go over to like hang out with him, he'll just be like, "Yeah, I need a painting in that spot."
So did you put up the painting on this Kickstarter, or was that too much of a risk?
No, it was up there. Somebody beat him to spot number 1. I'm not going to mention any names, but he didn't pick up the painting.
Now, I think that it's always coolest when somebody's first Kickstarter backer. I don't really care if people get the really expensive tiers. So I just think about the numbers. So yeah. So here's the actual truth. John and Ryan cheat. Ryan calls John up and says, "I'm about to launch," and John sits there, and I still beat him this time. And everybody needs to know that even through cheating, Kevin Joseph backed before John Eddingfield.
Amazing.
The best part is because as he was doing it, I was like, "Hey, Kevin's gonna beat you." And it threw off his game just long enough. He's like, because he stopped what he was doing. He's like, "Shut up. He is not." And when the page refreshed, I had 2 backers, and I go, "Uh-oh, 2 backers just came through at the same time, John. What if Kevin beat you?" And I looked, and he did.
I usually have my phone with me, guys, and if I'm reading something and Kickstarter comes up that I know I'm backing, yeah, I'm backing it. I'm not waiting. So, but no, John got the painting, and that's great. But so, what is next after Sunmaker for Ryan? I think you're kind of just putting your time into coloring pages, correct?
Yeah, so a lot of my stuff is going to be pretty much coloring for the next maybe year or so. So I'm working with Will. I'm doing the stuff with Crossover Division. Will has like 1,000 issues planned on. I pretty much was like when he was only going to have me color issues 3 and 4, and I was like, well, you're not firing me, right? You know, giving him the guilt trip, and it worked. So I ended up getting on the book that way. No, like
you're on the book because you're awesome, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way it is.
Yeah, like when I saw Pablo's work on the first issue, like the way I saw like the crossovers is like, I don't know if you guys saw it the same way, but like when they did the War of the Worlds, yeah. Like that one felt like it was like a red overtone, and then like the when we went into the Dracula arc, they kind of did that like normal, and I was like, man, they should have done that one in like black and white. That would have been so cool. Like, and as I read the issue, the whole time I was like, man, I wish they would have done that in like black and white, because like the first one would have been red, the next one would have been black and white. So then when he brought me on, I was like, well, now I'm like, because I was hoping for this as like somebody that was reading the book as a fan. I'm like, well, now I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna use color to add another layer to the book. So I got like a paper tone, and I made it like every time that they went into the crossover, I literally like spent like forever like selecting out stuff like and just isolating the characters from like the background. But I was like, you know what, this is going to be totally worth it. It's going to be super cool. And then for the next issue, I think I want to do like a sepia type tone. I think that would be
cool.
kind of.
See that, by the way, boys and girls, if you want to work on a comic as a colorist or a letterer or an editor, that is how you get rehired for another issue. You are not just doing your job, but bringing something extra to the book that the writer, editor, and artist might not have thought of. That is incredible.
I pitched
Absolutely.
Will. I pitched him a story. I said I wanted to do a crossover division story. If he wants to talk about it, that's up to him.
Well, and we're going to be working on that eventually.
I'll take that as he does not. One thing Will likes to do is keep what the crossover is quiet until at least the campaign. I've noticed that.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the mystery, sort of, right?
Right,
so,
right.
You know.
Yeah.
Don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Awesome. All right. So we'll make sure and get people. Can people get all 3 issues of Sunmaker with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
I have tons of issues left over. Just like everybody else here, we're like stacking up boxes everywhere, and you just need to get rid of them.
Yeah. So
You've got
I
some
would
variant
definitely
covers
get it.
too, right?
Yeah, I got Chris is actually hanging out here in the chat. He did one of my covers. I hired him to do, because he does like
Wait. So I'm going to say Chris did a cover. I believe Chris says it looks fantastic.
He said that while Mata was doing her.
He might have, but you know.
But
We
we
just say he did for
it up.
this one.
Yeah,
Confidence
like,
is sexy. It's all right.
he does like pixel art as like one of his styles, and he did a pixel art pinup in issue 2, and he actually turned that into the GIF that's on the Sunmaker page. And so I had this idea since the beginning that I wanted to do a Legend of Zelda homage to the Link to the Past, because that's like one of my favorite games. And the way I did the glove, I literally took the art for it, and I just added the wires and the other stuff. I was like, I don't care, I'm just straight rip off. Like this is like what I want. Like Liam didn't even know what Zelda
Allegedly.
was. He didn't know that I did that. So like when I was doing the variants, like I really wanted to do a Zelda homage, and I kind of drew up like my basic idea, and I sent it off to Chris, and like, oh man, like he crushed it. Like it came back and it was like, this literally could be like a video game and you wouldn't even know it. It came out so awesome.
That's
And then
awesome.
of course I have John that does the variant cover for me. We do variant covers for each one of our books, and John's is super cool because he did a cover for me and then like colored it, did all this stuff, and then he's like, nah, I don't like it. So he did another cover, and then he's like, nah, I don't like that one. And he did another cover. So he gave me 3 covers, and I'm like, John, I'm just letting you know I'm using all of them. Like we talked about, like it's going to be a cover on the front. You're going to turn it over. It's going to be another cover. And is that like, and when you open it up, the inside back cover is going to be his other cover.
Well, I will say that there will be a crossover division Tart crossover at some point in the future, and John has already shown us line art of an amazing cover that he did for us. So having John on the book is always fun. But like Sunmaker is super fun. I love the vitality of your artwork. I love that there's an energy on the page, and it.
Thank you.
I'm super excited. I read issue 1 and I was like, it's 3 issues. I have issue 2 sitting pristine. I'm waiting. I'm just going to read all 3 when it gets here, and I'm super excited to see what happens to what's in the box. But we gotta change our hocus pocus on a serial killing grandma. Let's get to Grandma Chainsaw for a little bit. Our comedic, horrific slasher. I'll pick up the page, Alan, if you want to talk a little bit about how this came together.
Alan, before you get started, I have to say the covers of Grandma Chainsaw are just creepy as hell, dude.
Oh,
I
good.
mean,
whatever. That's not creepy. What are you talking about?
That's life goals for me. Are you kidding?
No pupils is exactly how we all want our artwork to look. So where did the first glimmer in your eyes come for Grandma Chainsaw?
Man, probably childhood trauma. Like just a lot of repressed stuff, right? So I was raised by my grandparents, and I think it was one of those things where, well, I'm very happy I was, because if I wasn't, I'd probably be terrible. Way worse than what I already am. So I think it was just kind of a fun way to look at growing up in a new versus old environment. Because I'm an only child as well, so I never had anyone to really connect with inside of the household other than my grandmother, right? So it's just kind of fun just to see that dynamic, and honestly that's probably where all of this came from. And then my love for slashers and horror movies in that respect as well. And then I just married the ideas together. They go together so well. It's like peanut butter and jelly, right?
Yeah, this one that was your project image. That is some rough stuff right there.
Yeah, that was actually the first cover that we had for this. Whenever we started doing issue 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
and then
you got to love your tagline too. Evil has a perm.
Yeah, that she does. That she does. And that tagline actually came about. The gentleman that works on our trailers, which I don't know if we're able to show trailers on here or not, but he threw that in there. And at the end of it, we're like, Jared, that's genius. I could just kiss your brain right now. So, yeah, we just embraced that and then just started using it.
Well, we've already brought him up, and I'm gonna take a moment. His name's come up. Let's all just raise a glass if you have it. Pat Shand announced this week that Destiny New York is being developed. I didn't catch where and when, but just super proud of another indie person putting the work in to make a comic book that's worth being adapted elsewhere, as opposed to somebody taking a screenplay and making a comic just so it will be adapted. So Pat,
Good on him. Yeah.
Cheers, brother. But what he had to say about Grandma Chainsaw is Grandma Chainsaw is an unhinged bloodbath that pretends as if it's going to follow familiar horror tropes, but once the dentures drop, everything changes. It's like a ride through a haunted house, but both the horrors and the heroes that pop up defy expectation in a truly exciting way. So that's pretty solid.
That is
The
profound
dentures
and also hilarious.
Yes, the dentures drop. That's awesome.
Speaking of Pat Shan, what I like that what y'all did is he told me, or somebody told me, it was him or Charlie, I think it was Pat though. Like you name your title the premise of your book, and I
That's a
bet
Pat Shan special, yeah.
So much time at a con, man, because like I'm sitting here like I'm like red in the face having to pitch my thing. And then Pat's like, yo, smokes weed and sees the future. Like
it's just that easy, right?
Yeah.
No, it is actually quite smart, and you when you see it done, you're like, oh yeah. So God bless
I've
Pat
also
for
heard
sharing
about
that.
it. It's an iconic name because I've heard about it, but I hadn't seen it. Like I hadn't seen the series, but I'd heard about it like
nice
for months. Yeah, for months. I've been wondering like what the hell's Grandma Chainsaw. I'm sorry, but no, I mean it's a great title.
Yeah, thank you. It was one of those like after we said the title, we're like, yeah, this is because Grandma Chainsaw was the working title because we were like, well, we'll find something better, and then we did it.
There is literally nothing better than Grandma Chainsaw.
Yeah, we know that now, right? But yeah, so it was one of those things too. Whenever we were pitching issue 1, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this as well, but we had to kind of what we felt like was undersell the book because you want people to be surprised whenever they pick it up, and you want them to be again like expect the unexpected stuff like that. But whenever we were selling it, we were just selling it as a typical slasher, because where it goes is totally different than that throughout the book. But we felt like we maybe hurt ourselves with it because Kickstarter is such a weird thing, right? Whenever you see a trailer for a movie and there's a lot of mystery behind it, you're like, oh, okay, cool. I can't wait to go watch that. You know, it's like watching a Jordan Peele trailer. You know, they give you just enough information to pull you in, right? But with Kickstarter, whenever you're jumping into the crowdfunding spectrum, you want to know really what you're buying, but before you do it. So I felt like, looking back on it in hindsight with the first campaign, we probably should have teased the Dead Squad a little bit more, stuff like that. But yeah, you know, you live and you learn.
I did stop on the page because Caleb was nice enough to be part of the show already. So Caleb Holmquist says, creepy and atmospheric. Grandma Chainsaw gives all the best classic horror movie vibes while also somehow oozing with disgusting charm. I'm all in. So yeah, dude, if you're going to come in and be in our comics, I'm reading your pull quote, okay? That is an explain yourself. If I notice the two things, that's an explain yourself promise.
Yeah, Joey did such a good job too, building this campaign. We try to give just as much information as we can without, I guess, overwhelming too much of it. Then Joey just did awesome in all the graphics and everything. But yeah, so Grandma Chainsaw is just really... it's our love letter for, you know, stuff like Evil Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We have like Exorcist references, Nightmare on Elm Street. It's just, we think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, I've read the first issue. It is a lot of fun. Yeah. It's definitely, you know, balls out gonzo, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Joey Galvez said in the chats, look at that badass Geek Collective exclusive. Unfortunately, we can't look at comments and look at the page, so I missed it. But when you guys visit the Grandma Chainsaw, check out the Geek Collective. And next week, we just might have some people talking about Badass Girl, the Geek Collective's first published work. So Joey works with Alan, and he's putting some comic books out himself as well, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I've noticed the physical ketchup materials I got, it was like $15 for 2 comics. That's crazy good value. Oh my god.
Wait, so you see how good value 5 for 18 is. If we're looking at 2 for 15,
that's physical. That's definitely a better deal. 15, and I get the PDFs. Like, it's, he got me there. Like,
yeah, actually, that's a good question. I mean, I've seen campaigns where you can get the physical book or you can buy the PDF, but you don't get the PDF with the physical book. And I've always, at least from my campaigns, I'm like, if you're going to buy something physical, you get the digital as well. And I don't know if that's smart.
It's like whenever you go and I don't know, there's this thing called physical media. It's the weirdest thing, right?
Yeah.
It still exists. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like whenever you go and buy, buy a Blu-ray, for example, there's always a digital code in there too.
Yeah.
Granted, the prices of movies are way jacked up even for digital, but that's a whole nother argument for another stream. But at least they include it in there as a so they can kind of pretend like they're giving you a good value too, right? But yeah, whenever you do your physical comics, I feel like you should include a PDF with it. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to send a link. So
yeah.
I happen to. I don't judge people who do it differently, but I think I don't judge it because I rarely read PDFs. I love getting PDFs. Like if someone's done and I haven't had the Week from Hell, which has been every week in the last probably 13 years, but I do try to read the PDFs before the show if we can. But I'd kind of rather get the books. I'd rather read the books, but I'm a lame uncle. That's the way I roll.
I read the books when I don't want to sleep, and I read the PDFs when I don't want to work. So I kind of switch between the two.
Okay.
I always feel like when you're reading on the computer, like that's where you're doing all your work. So when I'm trying to relax, I don't want to be on the computer.
So
I realized.
Yeah.
I sent you a message. Like I was like, oh, here's my press kit link with all my stuff, and then like because Twitter's messing up for me, like I can't post links for some reason. Like I didn't send you anything. I was about to ask you your thoughts about the ending, but I did. Thanks,
I did get your DM, and I looked at today, and I went, I'm not reading it. That's not happening. I love it, and I will check it out, but I knew I wasn't getting to it, so no worries. Yeah, Twitter's just kind of like gonna work sometimes and not other times now. That's just when you let 80% of your workforce quit or fire them, that's kind of what happens after a little while. I don't know.
Shit just stops working.
Yeah, exactly.
I love Twitter. I'm really upset.
You love Twitter?
It was by far my favorite social media.
Oh, you loved Twitter.
I loved with a D, Twitter. Yeah, it was. Yeah. I met more people on it than Facebook. I don't meet anybody on Instagram except.
I mean, that's how I met Kevin initially, was through Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's a great networking tool, especially with Twitter Spaces, but it is, especially lately, it is a cesspool. It's like the For You page is just this is the most misanthropic scroll ever. It's like, God, is anybody just nice? Like, I don't even like pictures of pets. Like, show me a picture of a pet, please. Like something else than just the worst of humanity,
Yeah.
Yeah, this is exactly why I said, like, I'll log in, I'll see something that I hate, and just be like, you know what, not today, Satan, and just log out.
There's always the same arguments. It's always Man of Steel. It's always like artist versus writer.
Oh my God.
There's some Star Wars discourse going on. Like, it's like, oh my God, why? Please no.
So before we get totally off the digital, Jay Burns says, I used to be against digital because I like having a physical copy, but nowadays some campaigns take a while and no fault of the creators. So I get the digital beforehand. I'll read them now. Yeah, I personally do like Will, kind of like cheap tiers digital. If you don't want to pay shipping, love it. Read the book. I don't care. And then once you get to the physical thing, I do kind of just throw the PDF in myself. But I don't want to judge somebody who says a PDF is worth $5. And my comic is worth 10. So if you want them both, it's 15. I get that. Yeah. I don't have a philosophical issue with it. I just kind of feel like once you get to when you're buying my comic, you have the right to download the PDF as well. I don't think there's a wrong way to do that personally.
No, and I think probably what it stems from for me is like I always feel like I'm charging too much, but I know what I have to charge. So I'm like, I
Right.
need to give more,
It's
right?
the
And
guilt. That's exactly
yeah, it's the
what I
guilt.
do. It's
Hey,
the
Will,
guilt.
you
It's
are
like
too nice.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry I'm charging this much for a physical book. Please have the PDF. There's like some little
Yeah.
fun extra stuff in there. Like I
Will
hope
is
this
too
is enough.
nice. Every
But-
comic book I've ever sold was underpriced.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
promise you. Every
Yeah.
time. Every single time.
But you do know, like, when I started this, so the first like floppy comic that I did on Kickstarter was Tart 4. I was able to sell those for $4. This Tart Kickstarter that I'm launching on Tuesday, if it's 24 pages like we expect, it costs me $3.95 an issue to print.
Whoa, where are you
Ouch.
printing at?
Comic impressions with super high quality cover, super high quality interior pages. I don't mess around on my books. But my point is, I could sell the book 7 years ago when I did Tart 4 for a nickel more than it cost me to make this one. I did
prices have
2,000 of
increased.
those. I'm doing 200 to 300. They're rare. They're rarer. They're more collectible. They're much better covers. Blah blah blah. All that stuff. But it's extraordinarily hard to be like, I gotta charge $14 for this comic because I could be paying up to $4.50 for it if we reach stretch goals.
Mhm.
And
then
that's
you gotta-
just 3 times what I'm paying, which is you want to get 3 to 5 times what you're paying for any product to
Yeah.
have a business. And it's really tough. But yes, I am the one who chooses 130-pound cover stock instead of 80-pound cover stock.
Me too.
I am the one that's choosing 100-pound paper inside instead of 60 or 70. So I am forcing that price on it, but I'm also forcing it because it's a collector's edition and blah, 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 blah. But it's tough. Pricing it's hard to, I don't apologize for it anymore because I know that I'm giving a really rare variant of my book. And I don't think that we should ever apologize for our pricing because guess what someone can say if the pricing's too much? I'm not going to back this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You price what you got to price, and if you lose a backer because it's too expensive, hopefully you make your goal and they can get it later. But don't apologize, you know?
My boy Trevor is funny because he was saying that because his whole thing was to be as competitive as possible with prices, and he would like severely underprice it. But he found that it didn't make much of a difference, right? Because I think one, people expect an oversell at like on Kickstarter, right? Like I mean they need to at this point, right? So
Mhm.
I think the undervalue, he said he didn't even make a difference, and almost like it might be a mental thing of like, oh, this isn't worth like what you're talking about, the 130 page stock. It's like, okay, I'm paying for quality. Like, what the hell is a $6 comic book gonna be like potentially, like I don't know the specifics, just a thought.
No,
Yeah.
I think that I started trying to beat people on price. Like at comic conventions, I'd have a $13 trade paperback, and I'd be like, but at the convention it's 10. And what I realized after a year of this was I was selling the exact number of units at $13 as I was at 10. I was just making $3 less per book because it wasn't the amount of money that was people were choosing whether or not to come home with the book. It was just if they wanted it.
Mhm.
And so who am I helping? Yeah, I'm helping them save $3, but at the end of the convention, I'm losing money on my table because you're only going to sell 20 to, if you're lucky, more. And 20 times 3 is $60. And that $60 might be the difference between making table and not. I don't know. I just don't want anyone to apologize for their pricing anymore because
you got to price yourself to make sense, right? And
Yeah.
it's all about your bottom line.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
what you need to comfortably keep working in this indie space and for people to keep supporting your hobby.
Mhm.
So it's just that you got to walk a fine tightrope. And like you said, just price for what makes sense for you.
Yeah. And But I've had that feeling, but I've really just stamped it. I've just suffocated it and killed it.
Right.
Like
That's okay.
How do you kill it?
He killed it with a chainsaw.
The
From
price
Nice.
guilt?
Grandma.
Yeah. How do I kill the price guilt? Yeah. Because I know this is free enterprise. Everybody has the right to not back it. As long as I don't get mad at people for not backing.
And then he feels better.
What's
Don't lie.
that?
I said you just go swimming in your money bin and then you feel better.
I'm a veritable Scrooge.
Oh, that's what I'm
McDuck.
missing.
Nice.
So let's keep real quick on the Grandma Chainsaw. I'm sure you have told me, how long would this series go if you get to write it to completion?
It's just going to go 4 issues, and because Pocus is kind of going to be ongoing, but we're hitting the direct market this year, which is awesome.
Excellent.
And then Grandma Chainsaw, once we finally get all of that done, so the 4 issues hopefully will be hitting the direct market next year, which would be fantastic. So sadly, it is only going to be 4, as much as we like writing this thing. But I think Anthony kind of had the right idea too. You kill it early, right?
Oh.
Because you don't want a Jason Goes to Manhattan situation, right? So you set it up where, like, you said Decay, it's 4 issues or 5 issues, great, and then you can do your spinoffs, and then you can have your different sequels and stuff like that. It makes sense that way, instead of just dragging out this story that it could wear out its welcome, right?
Yeah. My timing was terrible. I just got us off of the subject and we got 2 good comments. So I'm going to go back for 1 second. Miles Smith says, time is your most valuable resource as a creator, and people need to understand that's part of what they're paying for is right. Yeah, the effort. And sometimes when I brought this up once before, I think I got Sandman Overture. I'm a huge Neil Gaiman fan. I was super excited to read Sandman Overture. It was gorgeous. It was a great book. I think it was 180 pages of ads and a 24-page story. Great for Warner Brothers to know that they had a book that was going to sell and they could sell multi-million dollars in ads for it. We can't do that. We don't get to sell ads to pay for our art or our writing. All we can do is sell the book. So even competing with the direct market prices is a fool's game, because Marvel is getting $180,000 in advertisement to pay their art team $30,000 to make the book, and then they're selling it for $4 or $5 or $6, and we're getting 0.
Yeah,
you can't fight on price. You just have to do the best thing. And then, that guy is in the chat. Charlie Stickney says, I think Kevin charges too much, but everyone else is fine. And that's probably correct.
Yeah, I agree.
So, sorry, to get back, my timing was just off. Those comments came in just as if we started. But I think it's smart to have a series that is in and out while you've got an ongoing. That kind of helps. Is it the same art team, or do you use a different art team on Grandma and Pocus Hocus? No,
it's the exact same team.
Okay.
One of those, we felt like if it isn't broke, don't fix it type deals. And everyone was just such a pleasure to work with for Pocus. And it was just such a good, smooth transition going to this type of story and structure.
No, that's awesome. I don't want to say anything, but I will speak it into the universe. Make comics to make comics, but if someone doesn't take your idea and give you a check to make Grandma Chainsaw the movie, there you go.
Man, I
it
hope.
sells
That'd be
itself.
Great.
It sells itself. It's so right there.
And it doesn't have to be great. I want it to be some crappy B horror movie that was just made
like Evil Dead, like the spiritual successor to Evil Dead.
Like the director just needed, I don't know, like a beer and a ride to get to the filming location, and then they just make it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And that's some of the best horror. It was about 2 years ago that I saw Phantasm up on Peacock, I think. And I was like, hey, I've never seen this and I've heard about it. Can we watch it? I don't know what it was about that stupid ass movie. I loved every single Phantasm movie about as much as I've ever loved any movie ever before or since. It was, and I'm not saying it's great. I just loved it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's great to be able to be like, yeah, just have a big schlocky old lady
With a
tearing people
chainsaw.
up with a chainsaw.
I would easily pay like $20 to watch that.
Oh, nice.
I mean, that's like sounds like kind of Cocaine Bear, right? Like the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Kind of meme-ish, like.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'll give Elizabeth Banks a call and see if she wants to do that next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure she doesn't have anything else going on, so I'm sure she'll want to do it.
All right. Well, I think we did all the deep dives. Let's do another 30-second round on every book. I want to thank everybody for coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what order we did it, but I think we ended with Mattis. So let's start with you on Sacrimony. If someone's just coming on, and how would you get them interested in the Sacrimony trade paperback?
It's a fantasy story that doesn't particularly feel like a fantasy story because you don't have the typical things of like, oh, there's war and kings and queens and shit. No, we don't have that. We have a bunch of asshole gods, and we have a girl that died but got better, and now she has demon wings and she has to deal with it.
All right. I'm gonna change the order because we just did Grand Rod Chainsaw. Let's do Sunmaker, Ryan.
Sunmaker is a post-apocalyptic fantasy about a man who has to decide if preserving his legacy is worth becoming a monster.
And you know it's your time, Anthony. Let's do Decay.
Oh shit.
Perfect. Leave it there. No,
that's why we do the beginning and the end.
Isn't that the spirit of Decay, where everyone just kind of like, oh shit?
I mean, that's not that's not untrue. Hey, if you want something that's like really grimy, really gritty, but has a lot of heart, check it out.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All right, and Grandma Chainsaw has a grandma with a chainsaw. Right?
Okay, thanks, Kevin. That's it. That's all I got.
It tells itself.
It's not all you got, but it's all you need, buddy.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, Grandma Chainsaw. It's a slasher comedy horror series that we just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, and we just have a lot of fun doing it. And it doesn't take itself too serious. And again, we're just all about making comics and just having a good time while we're doing it, right?
Yeah,
and that's what it's about.
Nice.
Yeah.
And before we get out, Joey Galvez wants to remind anyone who might be fulfilling a Kickstarter, you can use Geek Collective 10 at the Gemini Mailers website and get 10% off, and then it helps shows like this continue to exist. So,
now I will say this to Joey's credit. I hate to give Joey credit.
Yeah,
it is actually cheaper. And it shipped to me hella fast too. I got it in like maybe 2 business days. 135 Gemini mailers using the Geek Collective code on the actual Gemini website versus ordering from Amazon saved me like $30. Nice. And it got here super quick. So unfortunately, it does work.
we always hate when our Joeys are right, but sometimes they just are.
Yeah, it's unavoidable sometimes, but it does happen. So,
all right. Well, thank you everybody on the panel. Of course, we will see you in about 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, everybody. But
we got another one launching in 2 months, unfortunately.
We'll be.
All right.
Listen.
You
get your ass up and you get your ass here. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Everyone.
Good night.
Good night.